air signs, it's Amanda Beach with Cosmic Beach Consulting, and here is your Cosmic Surf Report for February 2018. Starting off with February, it's going to be a pretty beautiful month for you. We've probably put a lot of work into things in the past couple of weeks, especially with Saturn coming home to Capricorn, and so many planets spending time hanging out with Saturn in January, where everybody felt like it was reality call central. Harder for some of our Geminis for sure. But the month certainly focused on new work, what kind of work we need to be doing, like where our process lies, what we can do to achieve more, how we can do better, what we can focus on. And for the air signs, I feel like it's not as fun of a transit as it would be for a Capricorn who's like, oh, can't wait. Whereas like my daughter is a Gemini, Libra rising, for example, and for her, she's just like, I have to what? Like everything's kind of a big challenge. So if January was heavy, February is going to be a lot lighter. Opening up in February, we're kind of seeing some resolution with conflict when it comes to our relationships. So if this is like a long-term partner, maybe things haven't been so easy, you haven't been able to focus on each other, haven't had a lot of time. This is kind of a renewal of that bond you share. If this is a family that's really chaotic and you're always schlepping the kids from place to place, you're not really having time together, this is kind of a week where you're like able to shut down. Maybe we'll get a blizzard, and then we'll get blizzard babies in 9 months. And then for some of you who have just been so off the grid because you've been underwater with work, you're finally kind of able to resurface and join your emotional community and see your tribe and enjoy that, as opposed to kind of like the reclusive, nose to the grindstone January some of you had. For those of you who are uncoupled, the second week of February looks like a great time to make a new emotional connection. For those of you who are, it's a great time to look at how to further advance your emotional connection with the person you're with. So it's not necessarily a love the one you're with transit, like for better or for worse. This is really kind of about discovering that feeling of being in love, that newness, what it's like. I read this thing today, and I don't think that it's something that I would necessarily think is flattering, but it was like, marry the person who makes you feel like you do when you see your food coming to you at a restaurant. And sometimes when I see my food coming at a restaurant, I literally do not care what it is as long as it is not poisonous and I can eat it because I am starving. So that's not necessarily, the feeling I went inspired when somebody's like, oh, I'm going to look at you like I look at food in a restaurant. I'm like, oh, you look at me with desperation and like you're really hungry? That's okay. Weird. So this kind of talks about like maybe there's a relationship that you've been building up to and things have been going well on one level. You'd like it to be on another, age of consent and all. Like this is a time for that to move up too. So there's some harmonious energy for that, for sure. There are no full moons in the month of February of 2018. The last time this happened was in 1999. It's been a hot minute. So what this means is we actually get to really focus on the energy of the cycle of the moon. So when we open the month, we are in the waning cycle. We are taking things away. We are removing things from our life that no longer serve us, including people. So if you need to unmatch, block, not take the calls, unfriend, this is a great time to do that. Sounds harsh, but it's not wrong. There's a lot of people in the world. Not everyone is your person. So if there's some people in your world that are not doing the best things for you, it's time for those people to move along. And then we also get to focus on things that don't serve us. So if there are some hobbies and habits that have been getting in the way of you really enjoying what you've been building, then this is also a time to remove those things from your life. And when the energy is like this, it's easier to remove things from your life. For example, I'm starting the whole 30 for 30 days. They say it's only 30 days. I might die, but I'm going to try it out. But that's what I'm going to use the energy for, is taking my beloved dairy and starch and sugar out of my life for 30 whole days. So it's going to be hard. So the second week, emotional renewal, make that connection. If you're single and ready to mingle, get out there. If you're not a Tinder person, leave your house. I don't know how many people I've talked to in January. They're like, I really want to meet someone. I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, working. I'm like, okay, well, you got to go out. You got to try other things. I mean, that can be volunteering at a nonprofit. You don't necessarily have to pick everyone up at a bar. It could be joining a pinball league. They're all the rage. whatever that looks like to you. So, and the third week, we have a lot of cutting through some shit energy, which I really like. So if the first part of your month is all like love and sunshine and flowers and maybe getting love bombed or possibly staying in when you meant to go out after you met somebody because you went out instead of staying in, this is the month where you decide to like get back to business and you cut through some of the work. So, and this also could talk about your communication. If you're just like ready to be done with some things, just like whoosh, cut some things out of your life. So the third week of February really focuses on, really honing your message and figuring out where you're going to direct your energy moving forward into the full moon on March 1st. So the fourth week of February talks to me about how you're using your information. So if some of you are looking for new work, this will be a week where you'll hear something, but you have to hear it in a way where you're learning it. So you have to if you're somebody who has a hard time focusing or kind of floats off from conversations, especially my Gemini, with Mercury and Gemini and their Mars and Gemini and their Gemini and Gemini, this is a month or a week where you're really going to have to pay attention. This is a week about information. This is a week about being open to being taught in someone else's process. So there's a lot of opportunity to learn in the fourth week of February. And I think this also talks about the ability to receive information. So whether that's like attention issues, or if it's coming from a place where it's like somebody you really don't dig on, but their message is important, then I would be open to that. Like, this is a week where it's like you can take that challenge where it's like listen to a podcast you can't stand and get all the way through it because there might be something you learn. I have to work on that too. There is an astrologer whom I will not name, whose podcast sounds like an answering machine message, and she is fantastic. She's incredibly talented. She's like every certification you can imagine. She's amazing. I love her. I cannot get my husband to listen to her because the recording is not something he can tolerate. So if there is something that you're not listening to because of a technical reason, then try to get past that. If it's like YouTube videos, but you don't want to watch people talk at you, then just listen to that when you're driving. Just like put it on, turn the screen over. But look for alternate venues for messages for the last week of February. We have the new moon in Aquarius, so that's going to take some of that focus right off of you and right out into the rest of the world. So this might also talk about if you're looking at launching a project that has to do with the community at large, this is probably a good time to focus on doing that as well. Or if you've been hermiting hard, this might be a time for you to get back out there. Or if you've been kind of avoiding, a larger group project, this might be a time where you actually, feel some confidence to move forward and ask your community for help and for resources. So, all in all, a pretty fabulous month for you guys. My name is Amanda Beach. You can find me at cosmicbeachconsulting.com. I'm available for readings, parties, corporate events. You can find me on Facebook as well. I'm available in the greater Chicagoland and Chicago area. My home base is Logan Square. So let me know how I can help you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in March.